Yes, indeed, and we're picking it up again and going back to electricity supply challenge, which we started off today with. Babajide Ogunsanwo, Channels TV's data and information analyst, joins us again today. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
You know, when you hear National Assembly leaders say, well, if you spend 2.7, is it trillion naira now? Billion naira since 1999 on the power sector, with little or no result to show for it, you definitely have to say, wait a minute, is that actually how much has been spent? But let's get to focus on recent developments and even backtrack a little bit, if you will. You've delved into all of this. What did you find?
So the investments the government has spent on power is government talk. Government talk. Let's talk about what the people are concerned about. Here's what the people are concerned about. They spend a lot of money on generators and they spend a lot of money on fuel. So let's look at these three items in front of us and then we'll come back to the government talk. What the people understand is because they do not have lights, they will have to buy generators, which we can't bring here. But here's something that is very familiar to most families. The lamp. So families in Lagos say they spend 68% on alternative power supply, mentioning generator as the first. So 68% goes to generator of the alternative power supply. Another 22% goes to the lamp, which includes the candle as well. So in essence, what they are saying is 9 out of 10 families living in Lagos. Now, this case study was done by the Lagos state government about 3 years ago, and we clearly haven't seen any significant difference between their report of 3 years ago and the report that we're expecting right now. So within the report, the summary is 9 out of 10 families either use the generator, the lamp, or the candle. So Gimba, if I were to pick this candle, for instance, and light it up, you probably wouldn't stop me. This is a 20 naira candle. However, if I were to pick this 20 naira note and attempt to light it up, you probably will stop me. So Chamberlain, we need to ask ourselves the question, is there any real difference between if I chose to burn this 20 naira note slowly or if I chose to light a candle? Especially if the evidence shows 9 out of 10 families have to rely on alternative fuel supply. In simple terms, alternative power supply, which means 9 out of 10 families burn this.
I thought Gimba was going to jump and stop you because you...
So that's the challenge we have today. But we should ask ourselves the narrative of why do families have to spend so much on burning money? So here's what the evidence from Lagos State's sample shows. They say 72%, Chamberlain, of families have less than 5 hours of light per day.
72%?
72% have less than 5 hours of electricity supply per day.
Does that mean that the remaining percentage goes into darkness and unproductive?
You've got it. So if more than half, significantly more than half, say they have less than 5 hours of light per day, it simply means a lot of Nigerians spend a lot of time burning money.
Does that also factor in the rainy season when, you know, we have this improvements, when the rains come?
Yes, it does. So it's rainy seasons, yes, we do have slight improvements, but the significance is what does the Nigerian family request from the government? And that's what we should ask. And so they say that 72% of families say they want electricity. The evidence shows that more families favor electricity and water than even roads. So let's quickly then talk about the government talk. Yeah. Families are requesting, based on the evidence we have today, for electricity first, water second, and roads third. So let's look at the budget of the Ministry of Works and Housing, the one that is approved, the 2016 Appropriation Act. Now, for the headquarters for that ministry, we have a capital budget GIMBA of 353 billion naira. However, how much goes into electricity? Only 23 billion GIMBA. The majority, 260 billion naira, goes into roads. Here's what it means. It means there's a disconnect between what the people want and what the government is providing for. But should we really say that is really the case? Because the government has said our priority wouldn't be on public electricity, and we're looking at a different model, PPP. So today, there's so much unclarity on which of these three models are we going to run for electricity. Are we going to be running the public model, whereby electricity is running based on a public system, or a private system, or a PPP system? So we have those three choices, and we need to be clear. We need to be as clear as Trump.
So what is this with satisfaction with electricity supply in Lagos?
Now, the evidence based on Lagos State's survey on how satisfied are people with electricity. Now, the evidence shows more than 90% of the people. So in 2013, for instance, we see only 9% of the people, which is the most recent evidence, shows or say that they are satisfied with the electricity situation in the state.
And 2005
was a bit better. We don't say much better, but 2005
was 2%,
11%, and then 2008 6%. But in 2005, the goal was for us to increase the service satisfaction rate to families.
But are people embracing the renewable energy now, you think? Because I'm looking at 2013, 9%.
Okay, you respond to that when we return from this timeout. Join us again. Welcome back. So Jide was going to respond to Gimba's question. Go ahead.
So Gimba had asked if people were embracing solar. Here's what people are embracing. People are embracing lanterns. Because people are embracing generators, Chamberlain. People are embracing candles. And this embrace has started for more than 5 decades ago. So let's look at what had happened even during the general's first coming. This time, 1984, something very peculiar came up in the papers. We had, on this day in March, an ad that had a television, and under that ad, there was a generator, a 4.3 kVA to 17.5 kVA gen that you could get for 7,500 naira. Now, clearly, based on inflation, we know you wouldn't get a generator of this size for 7,500 naira. Well, here's the implication.
And the color TV, which we can't quite see now, was 500 naira.
And the color TV was 500 naira. Well, here's what has happened between 1984 and date. The color TV, the size of the color TV, which for me represents prosperity, the size of the color TV has increased to make it more convenient for European families, especially Americans, to relax and enjoy. The size of this TV has increased. However, the size of the generator which comes into Africa has reduced. So we see how technology has been applied. Technology in one instance has been applied to improve the comfort of some certain families by increasing the size and comfort of viewing. Same technology has been applied to reduce the size of a generator for families in Africa to easily keep in their homes and use. And so the evidence today shows 58% of Africans have no access to electricity. And so we've been selling generators. And generators
no access whatsoever, or
have no access whatsoever to electricity.
That's huge.
And so generators didn't just start coming into the country today. The evidence even does show that the generators are being imported, not within the last decade or last 2 decades, over 3 decades ago.
Yes, Capta Flight, of course.
Yes, then after comes Capta Flight. But more important, perhaps even Gimba, is let's really put this in a simple way for viewers to understand. So let's look at the UK. Population of 65 million generates over 35,000 megawatts of power. The last report we have estimates our population at 193 million Chamberlain. Depending on our good months, we're hovering between 3,000 and 4,000 megawatts. So let's assume we go with an average of 4,000 megawatts. Here's what it means. On one hand, it means even though our population is 3 times the size of the UK, they generate electricity 9 times the size of us. That's just one way to put it. A simpler way to put it is to look at it per capita. And Chamberlain, here's what it means. For every power that is generated to serve one person in the UK, that same power is serving 25 Nigerians.
One go, other food for thought. And what a way to end it. Appreciate your comment on today. Babajide Ogunsanwo is Channels TV's data and information analyst. And that's the program this week. What a week it's been as well. Who knows, next week could even be more interesting. But we thank you all for letting us be a part of your week. We'll be back next time. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Have a splendid day. I'm Gimba Umar.